Hey all, this is your favorite trend Jay or Jaylan Salah, as you formerly know her, film critic at Geek Vibes Nation and In Session Film. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Eshom Nelms and Ian Nelms, directors of Red Right Hand, a rural crime saga that really took my breath away. And it's starring Orlando Bloom and Andy McDowell. So this is something that I'm really excited about. First of all, you have a caliber like Orlando Bloom on a crime saga that is so brutal and really rural and really comes from the heart of the land. How did you guys handle him, and how did you deal with his capabilities? But also, you just brought something out of him that I haven't seen in any of his previous roles.
There's no handling Orlando Bloom. He's a force of nature.
Yes.
He was amazing to work with. He was fantastic. Eshom and I met with him a couple of years ago. He liked small town crime. He sat down with us for like a breakfast, and we hit it off with him, and we really wanted to work with him. We saw a lot in that breakfast that we'd never seen in a role of his before, which got us really excited, and I think is a big compliment to him as an actor. The guy's so talented. He has such a great energy and a magnetism to him. We were really excited to have him on a film like this, and this was like part of the excitement of doing this movie was to have him in that lead role. So he was like the first guy we thought of. We went out to him and said, "Hey, what do you think of this script?" And he got really excited about it. It's something he'd never done before. So yeah, it was coupled with the script, like our excitement for the project.
So I want to ask you,
obviously he came back with, obviously he came back and like, he was lean and mean when we saw him. He didn't have the bulky physical muscular appearance that he has in the film. So when he showed up on set, he was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting, doing a little working out for the movie." And we're like, "Oh, great. That's cool." He's like, "I feel like Cash should be really capable." And we're like, "Great. Yeah. Like do a little, do some sit-ups, some push-ups, whatever you want to do, And he came and he was just like impressively built. I mean, it was like, wow, okay. You're definitely taking this character to a next level. And I would never want to mess with Cash because he would just wring my neck.
Me neither. Okay, so I want to ask you both, like, why were you passionate about this project? What brought you to make it? Like, why did you want to start on it and work on it?
So we really dig crime thrillers overall. That's not the only thing we like, but we definitely like a good crime thriller. And Jonathan Easley, the writer, wrote a great script. I think with most crime thrillers, or not all of them, but I'd say the good ones, you feel a sense of, you want the protagonist to succeed. You want to feel like you're invested in the family element. And that really was a big part of it for us. We were really invested in that family element, and when things start happening to them, you feel bad, or you want them to succeed, or you want them to fight their way out of it. And that really was, I think, the linchpin for the script for us was just that family, and we really gave a shit about them, and we really wanted to see them find a way out of this scenario.
Okay, and Eshom.
Go ahead. Oh, for me, why I was attracted to it? I mean, just another chance to work with James Lafferty forever and always. Like, hey, where do we plug James in?
What a segue, Ash. That was a segue. That was a segue.
Guys, welcome, James Lafferty. I'm so happy that you joined us.
Thank you, Jaylan. I really appreciate it. I, for some reason, had 2:30. I had the end of this call marked as when it began.
Hilarious.
Yeah, classic. But I'm really, really sorry about that, and happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you as well. So, because I was just asking Ian and Eshom how they got into this project, I want to ask you, first of all, Nathan Scott will always be my favorite Scott ever. Okay, so this is to start. And second, what got you excited about this project? I know you and Ian and Eshom have worked a lot together, but why this particular project as an actor?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the fact that the Nelms brothers are doing it, and the whole band that they put together every single time is just my favorite to work with in the world, and it just feels like home when you're on set with them. So yeah, that was 100%. I think I got in touch with them. I think I actually, so a friend had told me that he was reading for Red Right Hand, and he said something about, I think he said something about it being a Western. So I just started spamming them with photos of me from a Western movie that I did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, to try to get on the radar for it. But yeah, once I read the script, and just, the script was really an epic. I'm not sure how many pages it was, guys, but I remember it being a long script, not in that you felt like it took forever to read, just in that you were really biting off a huge chunk of this world and really, really immersed in it. And they threw me the role of Lazarus to send in a tape for, and I just had so much fun with that tape. And the guys really encouraged me to swing big with it and sort of do something that I hadn't done before. And so yeah, it was an opportunity to sink my teeth into something that I don't often get opportunities to do. And I'm just really thankful to the guys for presenting that to me.
So James was unrecognizable as Lazarus, and you guys made Orlando Bloom and Andy McDowell into two completely different characters. So what is it about you? How do you discover this in actors? How do you discover the unrecognizable, like the undiscoverable, something new for the viewers?
Well, with James, I would say we've worked with him a few times now, and we just understand how talented he is and how versatile he is. And as he was saying, like, he may not always get the opportunity to like really reach outside of himself or really reach outside of he's done before. And that's one of the things we love to do, is just throw him out into some crazy ass role and watch him, form a wonderful character out of it. There's actually something bigger that we were talking to him about, another project that one in particular did not come to fruition, but there was a really it was a big lead role, and it was very much in the vein of a Lazarus with like tattoos on his face and like
a Post Malone kind of vibe. Yeah.
Kind of a Post Malone type of vibe. And we had a couple of conversations with James as that project looked like it was going to go. We had a couple of conversations with him, and I remember, all of us getting really excited about this character. And when that one did not go, and a year later this one goes, I think it was a lot of fun to watch James bring a little bit of that character back into this one. For me, it was because I was so excited to see him play that other role. This was a smaller role, but man, we can't thank James enough for coming in and doing these roles for us at times, and taking such big swings, because he is such a talented guy, and he really brought so much life to that role and to those scenes that he was in. It brings us endless joy to work with the man. So
I was just thinking about some of those scenes where, like, when he's sitting in Andy's den and Big Cat's den, and Cash walks in and he goes, "What's up, man?" And I remember Orlando goes, like, and the take goes through it. Honestly, we're all dying on the camera, and he goes, "What am I even supposed to do with that?" I don't know. Such a great rapport between all of them too, the actors. Oh man, I mean, James running around in that van, and it just worked.
So much fun. I remember James's first day of shooting, because he did the moment in the den or whatever you call it, the fireplace later. I think it was like the third thing we shot with you. But like the first thing we shot was the stuff in the grocery store when you're getting in the van. And I mean, Orlando has seen your work before. He had seen you in a couple of films that we had made with you beyond that. So he's familiar with you. And you come out as that character, and you like do a couple of lines, and you get in the van. And I remember in between takes, Orlando comes over to us and goes, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And we're all, "That's James Lafferty." He's all, "That's fucking Lafferty? Holy shit." Like, he didn't even fucking recognize you. And he's like, "He's fucking killing it." We're like, "Yeah, he is fucking killing it." And it was so much fun. It was so much fun to do those scenes, because they were just riffing off of each other, screwing with each other. James's and Orlando's character don't quite get along, because James is such a ne'er-do-well. He's got such great energy, but he's so like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna wing it."
He may or may not be intoxicated with a few chemical elements.
Yeah.
They just had it was so fun to see them riff off of each other at times, and for it was great. We had so much fun shooting those scenes.
And I guess to your point, like, we just love taking people that you've seen a certain way and then turning that on its head. Like, oh, well, I've never seen Andy do this. Well, we're going to make her into a sociopathic, boss
He
woman.
scared me.
And
It really scared me.
Obviously the actor has to have the appetite for it, right? You can't just throw somebody into something and they're like, "F you, I don't want to do that. What are you, crazy? I don't have any appetite for this." But luckily we've been fortunate enough to work with such talented people that do have an appetite and want to stretch and just have fun and do crazy roles at times. So yeah, it's been a blast.
I think you guys are really great at fostering an environment where people can come to you with ideas and not feel like there's any idea, even if it's not an idea that you eventually won't agree with. Like, it's not, there's no stupid ideas, And
Sure.
I think like you also put together a team that can really turn those ideas into a reality and take those things seriously. Because I mean, I remember when I got to set, there were a few actors that I had met before or worked with before with you guys, and to me they were, you know, unrecognizable. I mean, Orlando was unrecognizable to me, and he's one of the most recognizable people in the world, you know. And I think that's just a testament to the sort of environment that you guys create, where people can bring ideas, but you also have a really specific vision for what something is, but you're still open to letting actors try to embellish it in certain ways.
Okay, so
I love
James,
that.
I
I
just
love that we love when actors bring a lot to the role. You know what I mean? And there's obviously trust on both sides, like James is saying. Like he wants to make sure, you know, the actors hopefully, you know, hey, hopefully my ideas are being accepted. You know, and it really is a two-way street. It's us all working together to try to find the best versions of those characters.
This is why I'm coming to James, because Lazarus is obviously a very fun character to play, but at the same time, he's kind of unhinged. So I want to know, as an actor, how do you prepare? How do you go mentally? What mental state are you in? How do you prepare physically? Does this help you with the role? I want to know all.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of conversations with Ian and Ash, because there was a bit on the page. I think there was a really concise but effective description of Lazarus. I can't remember what words exactly were used, but it was good, you know. And then Ian and Ash sent me some text messages. This is, I think, as you guys are in pre-production or maybe even shooting, like, you know, these are the sort of the directions that we want to go with him, and like, what is he into? You know, like, is he he's a believer in aliens, right? Like there's life out there, right?
Yeah.
And he sees them, you know, especially vividly when he's tripping on acid, you know, and maybe with a steel reserve, it's even a little bit better. It's like, you know, getting into those like really specific, I think, character things helps me so much. And then also just I think the appearance, you know, to make the tape, I went to makeup, you know, film and television makeup store out here, and I got a bunch of, you know, temporary tattoos and just put them all over the place. Had a blast doing it. And there's just something about when you know, put the beanie on, put the sweater on, and kind of like the first time you see yourself in the mirror, it's like shocking, and you don't feel like yourself. And then I think that just that feeling of like disassociation with yourself gives you that freedom to try things that, you know, that you definitely never would have thought of before. You feel like you're sort of wrapped in this protective armor of a character, and you can try all sorts of different things. And then, you know, from there, it's really just about, I think, being as malleable as possible, and knowing that once you step onto that set, there are circumstances or energies or you know, things might change, and you just have to be ready to make those adjustments and do it in a fluid way.
Definitely.
And I will say James was talking about this tape that he made. And I don't want it to sound like he had to like overly audition for this role, because one, we know the man is incredibly talented. Two, there definitely is a process to doing a lot of these roles where it's like James is out of town. It would have been a lot different if we were making the thing in LA and we were all just sitting there trying to figure out together. But the other side of it is that you got to run it by a certain amount of bureaucracy up the chain of producers saying, hey, here's who we're going to cast in this role, because it is a significant role. But yeah, for us, it really was a starting point of like, okay, James, throw your ideas down on a sheet of paper or a video, send it to us. Let's start trying to get this guy hashed out of what you want to do with him. So
yeah, and I was actually, usually, you know, auditioning is I mean, it's tough, you know, you're like setting yourself up for rejection and stuff. And I by no means did I think that like I had this role locked down, and by no means did I think that I should have. It's almost like I welcomed this audition in a way that I think it's hard to do usually, where I actually wanted the test run. Like I really wanted to prove to myself that I could do it before I, you know, get on set with my friends whose movie I care about. You know, I want their movie to succeed. And so I almost like, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do something like this before we went any further. And I'm so glad that I did, because it was a wonderful confidence booster.
Wonderful. Okay, so the film has this beautiful scene, because I obsess about scenes where two grown men are actually helping a horse give birth. And this is when I felt like this movie is just about masculinity, but it's also about vulnerability. And it's also about the country, and it's also about being like you said, like a sort of an anti-Western of sorts. You don't have heroes, but you have anti-heroes clashing with each other. So I don't know, how did you bring this sense of vulnerability into a I'd say a highly masculine film, but at the same time, it contains some strong female characters, especially Savannah, and even you have, like Andy McDowell's character. So I want to know, how could you make this mix, which mesmerized me on a personal level?
The horses come from a couple of different places. So one, it was written obviously in rural, so that and was on a farm, so there would be a horse there. But Ian and I actually have a pretty extensive background in horseback riding and all that stuff. Our parents are very lovers of animals. My mom loves anything horses, and so we grew up with a lot of these events happening in our lives. And we thought that it made a lot of sense that to be representing the circle of life on the farm, and that it's, life will go on and is sort of represented through the foal. And that was sort of the chain of it, right? Like, the adults some of them may perish in this course of the story, but there will be a next generation, which may or may not be a foal, and it may or may not be one of the family members that are in the movie. So there was also like a physical representation there. So that's kind of like how the foal, came into play.
Yeah, I think that horse family scene, I mean, there wasn't on these shoots, you always get down to like, what is the bare bones that we need? We need a certain amount of days to shoot this. We need a certain amount of days to shoot that. And I remember that scene in particular, we had a full day to shoot it, which got cut down to 4 hours. And it was like, do you guys really need this scene? And we were like, I think you really, really need this scene, because it's the only thing in the first like 15 minutes of the movie that shows all three of them working together. It shows Finney, the father, doing something besides being an alcoholic on the couch. You like say, that guy has worth. That guy could do something. Like, look how capable he is at this sort of veterinarian work, like he understands these animals. He's really trying hard to save this horse and this baby. And you see all three of them coming together, even Savannah trying to calm the horse, and it's obviously one of her favorite horses. She knows its name. She's petting it. And then Cash, you're doing everything that he can. And he's a bit out of his element in that scene. He's really just sort of caught in between Savannah and Finney. But obviously he's doing everything he can to help in that instance. It was really, for us, like all three of the family members coming together on something that was, very important to them to succeed. A win for them up front in the movie.
And you totally nailed it. Like, that's it, right? It's like Finney being the most capable, and Cash, who was very capable throughout the film, being the least capable in that situation.
Yeah. And seeing the family like all lean on each other to get something done, it's great. It's such a great scene for us. It was difficult because we were like, okay, we had so many conversations about how to shoot it. How much of the foal of the horse birth can we show? Can we actually get a pregnant horse and shoot it foaling? Like, we had all those questions. And in the end, I think less was more. No one quite probably wanted to see a horse placenta flowing out the back of the horse. That probably would have taken us into a different movie. But
the miracle of life,
right? Miracle of horse life. But I think it did its job, and it gets the point across. And I think it's one of the first big steps in investing yourself in these three people.
I'll never forget. Yeah, that horse was so well trained that it laid on the ground for like 2 hours straight.
It was incredible.
And I remember Orlando walking up and being like, I was working with Ridley and we didn't have horses this well trained. Like, this is insane that this thing is just laying here like it was incredible what it would do. It was just like, boom. Oh, you want me to lay down? Sure. I'll see you 2 hours later. It's like falling asleep.
Just chilling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so usually when directors are behind the camera, they're watching a scene and suddenly it's magic and it feels like it's great. And maybe you didn't expect it when you were preparing for the scene. Also, actors, sometimes you go into a scene unprepared or you don't know what you're going to make out of it. And then it turns out you feel this passion, you feel this energy. So I want to ask the three of you, okay, as directors and as an actor, which was this scene that you felt something is going on? I feel like I'm in a movie. This is cinema for me. And at the same time, which was the most difficult scene to shoot? Although it might seem to me, the average viewer, as, it was okay. It was normal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you want to go first?
Oh, man. Look, I'll say this. It's going to be a little bit of a cop-out answer. There's a scene with Orlando and Savannah that he just goes to see her after Finney's by the fire. And it's just a touching little scene between them. There's a lot of, I don't know. There's a lot of like rawness in the emotions of the acting. It's nuanced. It's subtle. That's really what kind of gets me excited is when the scene, transcends potentially what's on the page. And I think that one with between and look, Cash and Chapel or Orlando and Chapel had a lot of like really great nuanced little moments. And I think that whole dynamic in the scene for me, excited me about the movie.
Okay, so Ian, what was your scene?
I'll start with the one that probably the one on the page that I was, most nervous, excited, because there was so much weight. It was such a simple scene, but it was so dialogue heavy and so actor dependent. And and there's two actors in the scene. It's Garrett Dillahunt and Orlando Bloom. And it's when he is giving that prayer before the vengeance really kicks off. And it's so simple. That's what makes me fret so much. There's no like tricks. There's no cut to him start, fiddling with his lighter. There's nothing to cut away from. You're just on those two actors, mainly Orlando, and then using Garrett's amazing, reactions to what he's saying. Like that scene to me, even though it's very simple, very simply shot, was the one where I really felt a lot of power, exuding off the screen while we were shooting it. And I was like, I think like it was such a turning point moment. Like we really needed that moment for people to feel like, okay, the shit's going down. We're heading into a new chapter here. Like this is the final chapter. It's the final countdown's coming up. The other moment that I really thought came off really well, and we spent a lot of time on it, thank goodness, was the torture scene with Andy and
Mo.
Mo, thank you, Mo McRae, who played the deputy. And that was such a long scene, and it's like just everything about it, right? Everything has to be sort of going right to keep the tension, to keep you invested, to keep the reality up, have the effects working properly near the end of the scene, and to keep the tension full tilt throughout that. I think it's like, what is it, an 8-minute scene? It's nuts. It's long.
It's very long.
A lot of speeches, so there's just a lot going on in that scene, and it's very long, and you just want to keep it ratcheting up so people aren't getting bored, and so people are staying locked in, and then hopefully the characters start playing off of each other wonderfully by the end, that it's so at a boiling point. That was another one that I thought came out pretty well, and what we were after for that scene.
Okay, so for James, which was your scene?
This one's easy for me. It was the first scene that I did, which was the scene in the van with Cash. And what was Jem's character's name? Jem was
Wes.
Yeah,
Wes, yes, with Cash and Wes. And I think I was supposed to come in a little bit later to do that scene, and they sort of moved it up earlier. And so I got ready real fast, got out the door, got to set, and it took a while to get my sort of tattoos on, all over. And it was the first time, I think it might have been the first time that we really found that look. So it took a minute, and by the time I got to set, they were like Orlando and Jem are in the car, in the van, everybody's ready to go, kind of waiting on me, I realized. And I was like, oh man, crap, here we go. And I had prepared the scene, and I think I had prepared the scene in a little bit more of a relaxed, chilled out, maybe Lazarus is super stoned kind of way. And he wasn't quite amped up yet. But when I got into that van, Orlando is he's so involved in, the story that he's telling. And we were about ready to go the character's about ready to go do a big job. And so I think after a rehearsal or two, or maybe a take or two, he was like, come on, let's go, energy up, we're about to go shit up, all right, yeah, wake up, slap myself in the face, oh man, okay, here we go. And I think that was great, because it really did feel like just us three in that van and us three in that world, because of the way the guys shot it. I think it was cameras a little further back, cameras outside of the vehicle. And so it really did feel like we were amping ourselves up for something. And there's just something about when you get to when you have something prepared a certain way, and then you get to set and you are jumping into something that is already moving. It's midstream, like that. It's a strong current, and you got to swim to keep up. That's when I think the lights really come on for me, and it's just a great sort of it's just like jumping in head first into ice cold water, and the way that you come out with all those endorphins going and just feeling like you're making a movie. That's what that was for me, and it was just a great way to sort of what do you call it? Yeah, just I guess just get involved.
That was such a because that whole first half of that scene is them like very like they're literally talking about your death. So it's very like down, and to have the juxtaposition of everyone's like, I think when you're watching that scene, you're like, oh shit, like this is gonna get really dark and mean and bloody, and then to have your character come in with such a positive attitude and so like up and so much energy, you instantly like him, and you're like, oh my god, they gotta kill this guy. This is fucking terrible.
Why?
Like, this guy's great. Like shit. Yeah, like he's got such great energy. Why are we killing this man?
I don't think I've told you guys this yet, but I got some of the I think the highest praise I've gotten from my own mother, who said that when as soon as Lazarus comes on the screen and he's like, surprises them with the window thing, and then he's messing with Wes in the front seat. She said that it took her straight back to when I was like, 12, 13, messing with my little brother. She was like, that little shit-eating grin that you used to get when you were messing with Stuart, like back when you were little. I was like, all right, nice. Channel something real.
And now we know where it came
found
from,
it,
man.
Yeah, the total authenticity, James.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, man.
Wow. So, James, I just want to ask you, because now you brought a lot of questions into my mind. Which are the more demanding scenes for you as an actor? A scene where you're just emotional, guttural, getting all your feelings out, or something that requires you to do a lot of physical work, know your lines very well, and at the same time know your marks? Like, which is demanding more of you as an actor, and which leaves you drained by the end of the scene more? The emotional ones or the physical ones? Or the heartthrob ones where you just do nothing and look very handsome in front of the camera?
You just smolder when you just smolder, James.
Just squint the eyes a little bit. It's very draining, yes. No, yeah, I think it's the emotional stuff. I mean, for me, I don't know if it's like that. I doubt it's like that for everyone. I think everybody has different things that take it out of them. But for me, it's the anger. It's, going to an emotional place. Those are the ones where you can, you could have one scene, and if it's emotionally demanding enough, and it only takes a couple of hours for you to feel like you've been hit by a truck, I think that's definitely where it's at for me.
Okay, so Ian and Eshom, I did a little research, and you both had backgrounds in wrestling and fine arts. So it feels like it's like fire and ice together, and then you became directors. So I want to know how these two energies brought you together to become directors and fall in love with movies and make them.
Yeah, I think look, we
come together.
Yeah, we both.
I was going to say violently.
What is it?
I said those two energies come together violently, but that's not
Like
Boom.
a clashing. No. I think Ian and I both had a real love of cinema growing up. Our mom fostered that. She had, fresh. This is going to date us. We had, fresh VHSs of Clint Eastwood movies showing up at the house. We'd watch movies as a family. It was a very big event around the house. It didn't seem like we could make a career out of that when we were younger. And then as we got a little bit older, we're like, oh, wow, there's just people called writers and directors and filmmakers. Like, maybe we could do that. So our collaboration and our filmmaking comes from a love of movies. I think our different disciplines end up ultimately complement each other in a great way. But yeah, we definitely have different skills. We have different interests, but we have similar tastes, which it works out really well.
Thank goodness, because we end up leaning on each other for so many things, because it's such a vast, there's the disciplines are so vast, it's like, oh, I'm going to be a director, but what does that mean? Like that means so much. There's so much to know in that category of director. There's so much to know as an actor. There's so much to know as a writer. Like, I'm sure if James could split himself in two and have a nice collaborator that he could bounce back and forth, he probably would. And that's what Esh and I have. Like, we have somebody to bounce ideas off of. I have someone to, to be my shit test. He's constantly like, oh, that's garbage. Let's do this. I'm like, oh, yeah, great. Yeah. What were you trying to do? I'm like, oh, I was trying to do this. Okay, great. Let's do this. I see what you're doing. What do you think of this? And then we throw that back and forth to each other constantly. It's so nice because I trust him implicitly, and I think he trusts me implicitly. So it's just a nice, like, shorthand. We cut through all the BS. We get right to the reality and the truth of everything and really try to figure it out. And we're both really invested in making it the best it can be. So I never have to worry that he's just like egoing me, or that he's like, I don't know, I don't ever have to worry about him as a collaborator as far as him just like, is he trying to take it over? That doesn't mean in my mind, we're just trying to get the best project. So whether a scene ends up being 25% his or 75% his, Ash and I've said this before, but like when we finish a scene, we're not even if one of us started writing it, we're not sure who wrote what by the end of it. It's been passed back and forth and talked over so many times. And I think that's a real asset as far as for us to be able to have someone with a different strength come into it, where you're at and be able to sort of fish the truth out of it. It really works well.
Yeah, it's been a true blessing. I think Ian and I have become really dysfunctionally codependent over the years in the best way.
Like any great creative relationship.
And then you have the creative relationship with James too, appearing in a lot. He's kind of like your muse. You have him in a lot of your projects.
But look,
For sure. For sure.
If James didn't already have a brother, we'd be adopting him. We love working with James. We love working with our DP, Johnny Durango. There's a lot of people, and when we find collaborators that we get along with, that we meld with, we hold on tight. It's hard to shake us off too. So.
Okay, so my final question would be, I love conversation with you guys so much. It fills me with joy and creativity, actually. My final question is, what are you looking forward to now? Now you have the movie out there and you are starting something new. Is it going to be like a James heavy, because I'm going to be watching a James heavy project? Are you guys embarking on something else? Haven't you haven't you decided on something? And I also want to know what's James doing right now.
First of all, we're always looking for a James Lafferty heavy project. Always. That is literally like always. Yes. We get a project. We're like, how do we fit this man into it? That's honestly we do. So that's for number one to start off. I guess the movie came out. We're super excited to have it out there and share it with everyone. We've got a couple of scripts that we've written that we're pounding the pavement with right now to get going. We're in casting on one. Just the very beginnings of it, obviously. It's too early to tell which horse is going to start, galloping into the lead and get made first. I think I know which one, but I can't be sure. We've got a couple of great prospects on scripts that we've written, and we're very excited about them. And we'll just have to see which one sort of takes the lead there.
And I don't think it's out of line to talk about EDG. Everyone's doing great.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, yeah.
James?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, first of all, I would just want to say, like, these guys are too kind. Like, the opportunities they've given me over the years, and just the looks they've given me, but also the wisdom that they've shared and the energy that they have propelled me with. I don't even know if they know how much it's changed my life and career. Working with them for the first time, what was that, 2011, Lost on Purpose, really opened my eyes to what it takes to really build something from the ground up, and what it's going to take for you to make your first movie or make the first project that you really, to get your script made, essentially. And just hearing their stories and seeing the way that they follow up their words with action has been something that is just a continual propellant for me in my life. And so I'm super grateful for them. And I mean, that's a pretty good segue to Everyone is Doing Great. It's an independent TV show that we all make together with Stephen Coletti and Alexandra Park and Kariba Hine. And it's a labor of love, and it's sort of a family affair. We have all of our family and friends involved in it. And the show is it's about friendship, and it's about falling on your face and leaning on your friends to pick you up, even when they might not be, totally equipped to do so. So it really is, I think, in a classic sense, a comedy about friendship. I think the comedies that we all kind of fell in love with growing up, it's got that heart and it's got that cadence. And so we have the second season done now. The first season is available on iTunes, Amazon. It's 8 episodes. And then the second season is in the can, and we are looking for a good home for it. So, I think we're planning on releasing it this year.
It was such a pleasure talking to you. Really, I feel very energized and very excited. And Red Right Hand is just an amazing film. I can't wait for the world to see it. And I can't wait to read more and write more about it. So thank you very much. It was wonderful.
Jaylan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Means a mountain.
Appreciate it.
Okay. I'm logging out. Okay, Danielle.
All right.
Bye.
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 Bye.